He asked me to pretend to be his lost wife. The secret I uncovered brought my heart back to life. Rain hammered the bus windows as Boston's gray skyline slid by. My fingers shook around my phone. One more overdue notice, one more reminder that I was running out of time. 3 months without a job, savings evaporating like water on hot asphalt. I got off at the wrong stop, my worn soles skidding on the wet sidewalk. The temp agency was 2 blocks away, but every step felt like a mile. Inside, the air smelled like old coffee and quiet despair. Mary. The receptionist called, her face a mask of professional fatigue. We have something. It is not ideal, but anything. I cut in, my hands still trembling. I need to pay rent. She handed me a sheet. Nanny. Overnight care. Single father, young son. The wife disappeared 6 months ago. The word disappeared hung between us. In any other moment, it would have scared me. Right then, it sounded like a chance. When do I start? I asked, already folding the paper. Tonight. The address is there. The pay is good. Very good, actually. My eyes raced to the number at the end. She was not exaggerating. It was triple what any nanny would normally earn. Why that much for something so simple? The Davies mansion sat in Beacon Hill, tucked behind high walls and iron gates. When the taxi stopped, I almost told the driver to turn around. This was not for someone like me, a woman raised in the Roxbury projects, who knew more about lack than about luxury. The man who opened the door was not what I expected. Raphael Davies was younger than I had imagined, his eyes carrying a grief so deep I could almost feel it in the air between us. "You must be Mary," he said, his voice surprisingly gentle. "Please, come in." Inside was quiet. Not the quiet of peace, but of a house that had lost its soul. Expensive toys scattered over marble floors, but no childish sound. "Luke is sleeping," he explained, leading me to the living room. "He has nightmares about his mother." I perched on the edge of the sofa, my palms damp in my lap. "What happened to her?" The question slipped out before I could stop it. Raphael stared into the fireplace. "Isabel, she went out to buy milk and never came back. The police, they think she left us voluntarily." There was something in his voice, a doubt, maybe, or a stubborn hope. "Why hire me?" I asked. "There are thousands of nannies in Boston." He turned, his dark eyes studying me with unnerving focus. "Because I need more than a nanny. I need a wife." The floor seemed to drop away. "Come again?" "For one night," he said quickly. "Tomorrow is her parents' anniversary. They never accepted that Isabel might have abandoned us. I need them to see that I am moving on. That I have found someone." My mind screamed to run, but my empty pockets whispered to stay. "What exactly are you asking me to do?" "Pretend," he murmured, his eyes pleading. "Just for a few hours. Sit beside me, smile, behave as if we belonged together." It was insane. It was dangerous. It was everything I did not need in my already tangled life. Then he said the amount. My heart stopped. Enough to pay every debt. Enough to breathe for a few months without fear. Why me? I asked, my voice unsteady. He studied my face for a long moment, his gaze tracing each feature as if searching for something. You have her height. The way you sit. Even your eyes are the same color. Something in the way he said it made my skin prickle. As if he was seeing me and seeing through me at the same time. All right, I heard myself say, my hands still shaking. I will pretend. For one night. Relief crossed his face like a warm wind. Thank you. He breathed. There is more. You need to know certain things about her. About us. He led me upstairs, to her room. Everything was untouched, as if she had stepped out minutes ago. Perfumes on the vanity, a book open on the nightstand, even a cup of tea half finished. She liked chamomile tea before bed. He said softly, lifting the cup. She read crime novels. She hated car alarms. Each detail was intimate, personal. Too personal to share with a stranger. Why are you telling me this? I whispered. Because for this to work, you need to become her. Only for a few hours. He opened the wardrobe, and what I saw stole my breath. Pricey dresses, all in my size. Shoes that would fit perfectly. Even the same nail polish brand I wore. How? I began, but the words died on my lips. Coincidence. He said quickly, but his eyes told a different story. That was when I heard it, small footsteps in the hall. He appeared in the doorway, a boy of about 4, his green eyes mirror perfect to Raphael's. He looked at me, sleep-soft confusion clouding his expression. Then he rushed forward, his little arms wrapping around my legs. Mom, he cried, pressing his face to my thigh. You came back. The world stopped. Raphael went still, his face going pale. I froze, my hesitant hands hovering over the boy's curls. Luke, sweetheart. Raphael said gently, kneeling. This is not Mommy. This is Mary. She is going to take care of you tonight. But Luke did not let go. She is Mommy. He insisted, his eyes bright with a child's certainty. She smells the same. And her voice sings the same. Each word was a blade. How could a child mistake a stranger for his own mother? Raphael looked at me, and for the first time I saw not only pain in his eyes, but also hope? Fear? I could not name it. He was always very attached to her. He explained, tension tight in his voice. Since she left, he calls any dark-haired woman Mommy. But I was not dark-haired. My hair was light brown, my eyes green, nothing like the woman in the photos on the walls, whose hair was black as night and eyes brown. Something was wrong. Deeply, dangerously wrong. And as I held a child who called me mother in a house thick with secrets, with a man paying me a small fortune to play a missing woman, I felt I had stepped into a story that could swallow me whole. Because the line between pretending and becoming was already unraveling. And I was no longer sure I wanted, or could, go back. Luke did not let go. His small arms stayed locked around my legs, his face pressed into my thigh as if he feared I would vanish if he loosened his grip. Raphael watched, his face a collage of conflicting emotions. "Luke, sweetheart," he said gently, trying to pry him off me. "Let us give Mary time to get ready for tonight." But the boy shook his head hard. "I want Mommy," he whimpered, his tears soaking my cheap jeans. I did something instinctive then, something no rational part of me would have planned. I knelt, bringing my eyes level with his. "All right, sweetheart," I said, my voice slipping into a lilting cadence I did not know I had. "But Mommy needs a bath first, yes? How about you help Daddy pick my dress for tonight?" The change was instant. Luke stopped crying, his green eyes lighting up. "Can I pick the blue dress?" he asked, full of hope. Raphael went rigid, his face draining. How did you know about the blue dress?" I did not know. The words had simply appeared, as if someone else were speaking through me. "A guess." I lied, my hands trembling slightly. "Every woman has a favorite blue dress, right?" Raphael did not look convinced. His eyes searched my face with a new intensity, as if I were a puzzle he meant to solve. Meanwhile, Luke grabbed my hand and tugged me to the wardrobe. "Come on, Mommy. I will show you your favorite." I let myself be led, my heart pounding. He opened the doors and pointed to a sky blue silk dress, exactly what I had pictured when I said the words. "You wore this on my birthday," Luke said, beaming. "Remember? You danced with me in the living room." My throat tightened. How could a child invent details so precise? And why could I almost remember it? The scent of chocolate cake, the hush of soft music, the warmth of a small body in my arms as we swayed. Raphael watched me closely, his eyes glued to my face. Do you remember that?" His voice was a thin thread of hope. "Of course not," I said quickly, my palms slick. "I am just playing along." To calm him. Even as I said it, I felt I was lying to myself. Because something about this house, this boy, even this man, felt disturbingly familiar. Raphael left me to get ready, taking Luke with him with a promise I would join them soon. When the door closed, I let out a shaky breath and leaned against the bed. What was happening to me? Was it the pressure? The exhaustion of months spent scraping by? Or was something darker at work? My eyes scanned the room again, searching for what? Answers? Clues? I did not know. That was when I saw it, half hidden behind a photo on the nightstand, a small, worn leather diary. My hands shook as I picked it up, knowing I was trespassing into a woman's private life, a woman who might no longer be alive. But something pulled me into those pages. Something stronger than my morality, stronger than my fear. I opened at random and fell on an entry dated exactly 1 year earlier. Today Luke said his first full sentence. "Mommy, I love you more than the stars." Raphael cried. So did I. Sometimes I wonder if he knows, if he senses that I carry this secret every day. But how could I tell the truth now? It would destroy everything. My heart slammed. What secret? What was this woman hiding? I turned more pages, my breath quickening. Another entry, 3 months before she vanished. The doctor confirmed it today. I am pregnant again. Raphael is so happy, but I only feel fear. What if it happens again? What if it does not work this time? I could not bear to lose another baby. Not after what happened with Mary. Mary. My name. Coincidence? Impossible. My hands shook so hard I could barely turn the pages. I found the last entry, written the day before she disappeared. He knows. God help me. Raphael knows. He found the old photographs in the attic. He asked about the scar on my wrist, about why I have no family. I tried to explain, but the words would not come. He left with eyes full of pain. What do I do now? Where do I go? I cannot lose Luke. I cannot. The diary slipped from my hands and thudded on the floor. My mind spun, trying to process what I had read. This woman, Isabel, had a secret. A secret big enough to make her run? Or had Raphael? The door swung open and I jumped, heart pounding. Raphael stood there, his face set. "It is almost time to go," he said, his eyes dropping to the diary on the floor. For a moment, something dangerous crossed his face, anger, fear, then it was gone, replaced by neutrality. "I am sorry," I blurted, snatching the diary up. "I should not have." He took it, his fingers brushing the worn cover. She always wrote in it," he said softly. Said words helped her organize her thoughts. There was so much pain in his voice that my own heart ached for him. For a moment, I forgot suspicion and doubt. I saw only a man who loved his wife and did not understand why she had left him. What happened to her? Raphael? I asked gently. Do you truly believe she abandoned you? He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again they were full of unshed tears. I do not know what to believe anymore. The police say the evidence suggests she left voluntarily. No sign of a struggle, no missing cash, even her favorite suitcases are gone. But, he exhaled, the sound heavy with months of uncertainty. But she loved Luke more than life. She would never have left him like that. Unless what? Unless she was afraid of something. Or someone. The words hovered, loaded with meanings we did not say. Was he talking about himself? Or someone else? Let us get ready, he said at last, voice steady again. Her parents arrive in an hour. And we need this to work. When he left, I stood in the middle of the room, emotions so tangled I could barely breathe. Part of me screamed to flee this house and its dangerous secrets. Another part pulled me to stay, not for the money, but for a fierce need to understand. To find the truth. And there was Luke. That little boy who called me mother with such conviction. How could I abandon him now? When I finally slipped into the blue dress, which fit perfectly, as if made for me, and looked in the mirror, I barely knew the woman staring back. She was not Mary, the nanny desperate for cash, She was someone else, whole. Someone who belonged to this world of luxury and complicated love. When I came down the stairs and saw Raphael's expression, not approval, but naked shock, I knew the line between acting and reality had vanished completely. Because in that moment, wearing another woman's clothes, caring for another man's child, preparing to deceive another woman's parents, I had become Isabel Davies. And the scariest part? Some part of me liked it. Isabel's parents arrived promptly at 7 o'clock. Mrs. Clara was a fine-boned woman with needle-sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her husband, Mr. Mendez, walked with a cane, his face carved by pain. When Raphael introduced me as Mary, my new companion, Mrs. Clara's gaze pierced me. "How interesting," she said, every syllable weighted with suspicion. Luke ran to me, his arms wrapping my legs. "Grandma, Mommy came back." The silence that followed was louder than any shout. Mrs. Clara looked from me to Raphael, her eyes narrowing. "What is going on, Raphael?" Luke sometimes confuses Mary with Isabel, Raphael said quickly, but tension threaded his voice. During dinner I sat beside Raphael, my hand trembling under the table. He took it, our fingers lacing. It was meant to be part of the act, but something genuine flickered inside the gesture. Something that made me want to believe this could be real. Then Mrs. Clara asked the question that changed everything. "Mary, dear, Raphael told us you were from Sao Paulo as well. Which neighborhood?" My blood went cold. Raphael had not warned me. The city center. I lied, my voice unsteady. "What a coincidence," she said, a smile that did not reach her eyes. "My sister lives downtown. Perhaps you know the Silva family?" My throat closed. I did not know anyone in Sao Paulo. I had never even been there. Then Luke, seated beside me, spoke up. "Mommy is not from Sao Paulo, Grandma. She is from here. Like me." Raphael nearly spilled his wine. "Luke, sweetheart, you are mixing things up." "But it is true," he insisted. "Mommy told me about when she was little. About the orphanage and everything." The world froze. How could he know? I had never told anyone about growing up in the system. It was my most guarded secret, my deepest shame. Mrs. Clara studied my face, and for the first time I saw not suspicion but recognition. "Your accent," she murmured. "It is Boston, not Sao Paulo." Raphael tried to salvage the night, but the damage was done. When Isabel's parents finally left, the air buzzed with tension. As soon as the door closed, Raphael turned to me, pale. "What is happening here? How did Luke know about the orphanage?" "I do not know." My voice rose higher than I intended. "I never told anyone. Never." He held my gaze for a long beat, and something shifted in his eyes. Not anger. Not doubt. Hope. Maybe there is an explanation. We did not get the chance to find it. The phone rang, and when he answered, his face hardened. "Yes, she is here," he said, his eyes meeting mine. "All right. I will tell her." When he hung up, his expression was grim. It was Isabel's sister. She did not believe our performance. "She says she will investigate you." My stomach nodded. "Investigate? Why?" "Because she thinks you are an imposter. That you are pretending to be Isabel for money." The words hit like a punch. "But that is insane. You hired me." "She does not know that," he said, rubbing his face. "She thinks you showed up out of nowhere to exploit our grief." That was when I understood the danger. This was no longer about money or playing a part. This was about being accused of something I had not done, something that could land me in prison. "I have to leave," I said, my legs unsteady. "This is too dangerous." We heard the noise then, something breaking upstairs. We ran to Luke's room, and what we saw stopped us. He stood in the middle of the floor, shards of a broken vase around him. But it was what he held that mattered, a small wooden box he had pulled from inside the vase. "Mommy's," he said, solemn. "She hid it before she left." Raphael took the box with shaking hands. Inside was a single item, a positive pregnancy test, dated the day before Isabel disappeared. And a small note, in the same handwriting as the diary. "Raphael, if you are reading this, something has happened to me. Look for Mary. She will know the truth. And please, protect our baby." The floor vanished beneath me. Mary. My name. It could not be coincidence. Raphael looked at me, his eyes filling with a painful understanding. You know who you are, do you not?" Before I could answer, the doorbell rang, insistent, urgent. When Raphael opened it, 2 police officers stood outside. "Raphael Davies," one asked. "We have an order to bring Mary Santos in for questioning. Mrs. Davies' sister has presented evidence that she may be involved in the disappearance." As they cuffed me, Luke began to cry. "Do not take my mommy. Please, do not take her." And Raphael, holding the pregnancy test in one hand and the note in the other, looked at me with an expression I would never forget, not accusation, but protection. Because now we understood the truth. I was not an imposter. I was part of a much larger secret. And someone was willing to do anything to keep it buried. The station smelled like burnt coffee and dread. In the interrogation room, my hands still trembled from the cuffs. Detective Martins was a middle-aged man with eyes that had seen too much. "Mary Santos," he began, flipping through a file. "Or should I say, Mary Isabel Santos?" The name hit like a physical blow. How did he know my full name? I had always used only Mary. "What is going on?" I asked, my voice unsteady. "Why am I here?" He slid a photograph across the table, a woman who could have been my twin. Isabel Davies. Missing for 6 months. And you appear out of nowhere, caring for her son, wearing her clothes. Raphael hired me. I protested. He set this up. He studied me for a long beat. You know, the most interesting part is not your physical resemblance. It is your record. Orphan. Raised in the system. No original birth certificate. My throat tightened. What does that have to do with anything? Everything, he said softly. Because Isabel Davies was also an orphan. Also raised in the system. Also had no original birth records. The world tilted. Too many coincidences. Too many mirrors. The door opened and Raphael stepped in, pale but determined. She knows nothing. Detective. I hired her. Why? Mr. Davies? Martins asked, eyes flicking between us. Why hire a woman who is the exact image of your missing wife? Raphael drew a steadying breath. Because I knew she was the only one who could help. The only one who would understand. Understand what? Raphael placed a folder on the table. The truth about Isabel. And about Mary. Inside were documents, birth certificates, adoption records, old photos. And a letter, yellowed with age, from a nun named Sister Margaret. Read it. Raphael said softly, his eyes pleading. Please. My hands shook as I unfolded the letter. The handwriting was delicate, the words heavy with sorrow. Dear girls, when your mothers left you at our door that cold night, we knew we were breaking rules by separating you. But it was the only way to keep you safe. Mary, you went to a loving family. Isabel, you stayed with us. We promised never to tell, but the heart knows what the mind forgets. Twins. We were twins, split at birth. Tears slid down my face as I read about our biological mother, the young woman who fled an abusive relationship, who left us at the orphanage to protect us, promising to return, and never could. How did you find this? I managed. Raphael knelt beside me. Isabel always knew. She searched for you for years. When she was pregnant with Luke, she swore she would find you. Then she became pregnant again. His eyes filled. She was afraid. Afraid something would happen to her. Afraid Luke would be left alone. So she told me about you. About the twin sister she had never met. Detective Martins watched in silence, his expression easing from suspicion to understanding. She left clues everywhere. Raphael went on. Your photos in her diary. Your name on hidden notes. She wanted me to find you if anything happened to her. But why did she disappear? I asked, tears dripping onto the papers. Raphael took my hand. Because she realized she was in danger. Someone did not want this truth to surface. Who? The door opened again. Mrs. Clara entered, her face a mask of pain and guilt. I did. She whispered, her hands shaking. It was me. Silence spoke louder than any accusation. Raphael went rigid, shock and betrayal warring on his face. Why? Clara? His voice was a strand of hurt. Because I knew she was not good enough for you, she burst out, tears breaking free. An orphan. No family. No history. I arranged a better match, but you insisted on her. Then the full story spilled out, how she had threatened Isabel, forced her to run, paid to have her disappear. But something had gone wrong. Isabel had truly vanished, not where Mrs. Clara sent her, but somewhere no one could find her. I only wanted to protect you. She sobbed, collapsing into a chair. Protect our family. Raphael stared at her, and for the first time I saw hatred in his eyes. You made my wife run while pregnant with our child? You made my son grow up without his mother? He turned to me, and his expression softened. But she miscalculated one thing. She did not know about you. About the sister Isabel always knew existed. Detective Martin stood. Mrs. Clara, I need to take you into custody. As they led her away, Raphael and I were left alone with the truth hovering like a ghost. What now? I asked, my hands still shaking. Raphael closed his hand around mine, his eyes bright with renewed resolve. Now we find your sister, and we make our family whole. But we both knew the story was far from over. Isabel was still missing. Pregnant. Alone. And I, who had walked into this house as a pretender, was now the only hope of finding the sister I had never met, the half of me I had always felt was missing. The Davies home became a command center. Maps papered the living room walls, marked with Isabel's last known paths. Raphael worked with a determination that bordered on obsession, his eyes red from sleepless nights, refusing to rest. She left clues. He repeated like a prayer. Isabel was methodical. She wanted to be found. I helped however I could, but each hour tightened the knot of fear. My sister, words that still sounded strange in my head, was somewhere out there, alone, pregnant, possibly terrified. Luke was our one light. He seemed to understand more than his years, his serious eyes following our movements. Will you find my real mommy? He asked on the third night, his small fingers twining with mine. We will try, sweetheart, I said, my chest aching. He gave us our first real lead. While we were playing in his room, he pointed to a teddy bear high on the shelf. Mommy always kissed the bear before tucking me in. She said it was magic. Raphael took the bear with trembling hands. She bought this on our honeymoon in Campos do Jordão. We inspected the toy inch by inch. I felt something hard inside the stuffing. Carefully, we opened the seam and found a tiny memory card. On the video, Isabel appeared, my face, my gestures, even my way of smiling. She spoke to the camera, eyes full of love and fear. Raphael, if you are seeing this, I am in danger. I found documents in your mother's office. She is not who she says she is. And she is connected to my biological mother's disappearance. The revelation hit like a blow. Mrs. Clara was not just controlling, she was dangerous. The second part was worse. Isabel held up documents proving that Clara Mendez had assumed another woman's identity decades earlier. The real Clara had died in an accident, and this imposter had taken her place to inherit the family fortune. She found out about Mary. Isabel said through tears. About my twin sister. She fears that together we could expose who she really is. So I have to vanish. But I promise, my love, I will come back to you and Luke. The video ended with her holding a small key. find the safe. Everything is there. We searched for hours until we found a safe behind a false shelf in the library. Inside were more documents, proof of Clara's fraud, records of Isabel's real past, and a letter addressed to me. Dear Mary, if you are reading this, it means we finally found each other. I am sorry for the lost years. I hope one day we can truly meet. Take care of them for me. And please, find me. A final line gave an address, a small mountain town Isabel called her safe place. We left that same night. The drive was silent, each of us lost in our thoughts. I thought of the sister I had never met. Raphael thought of the wife he loved. Luke thought of the mother he missed. At the secluded cabin, my heart beat so hard it hurt. The door was unlocked, but empty. Clothes in the closet, food in the pantry, but no Isabel. We found a note on the kitchen table, in the handwriting I already knew. They found me. I had to go. Look in the place where it all began. Raphael dropped into a chair, hope draining away. Where it began. What does that mean? Luke, playing near the fireplace, found the last clue. He pulled a loose stone and revealed a small bundle. Inside were 2 identical bracelets, one engraved. Mary. The other. Isabel. And a final note. St. Clair Orphanage. Where our story began. And where it must end. The orphanage where we had both been left. The place where our mother had split us to save us. On the way back, I held the bracelet with my name, feeling a thread tug tight between me and the sister I had never known yet always felt. Raphael drove in silence, his determination rekindled. And Luke, strapped beside me, took my hand. Do not worry, he whispered. We will find both mommies. Because now we understood, we were not only searching for Isabel. We were searching for our whole, lost family. And no lie, no secret, no lost time would stop us. St. Clair Orphanage looked abandoned by time. On Boston's outskirts, the red brick building wore an aura of neglect, its cracked windows like blind eyes watching us arrive. The rusted wire fence groaned when Raphael pushed the gate. Luke gripped my hand, his small fingers trembling. Is this where Mommy was when she was little? Yes, sweetheart, I said, my voice thick. It is where we were both left. Raphael studied the building, scanning each detail as if he could conjure Isabel from every shadow. Why here? Why would she come back? The answer stepped out of the dark porch. An elderly woman in a simple habit, eyes bright with ancient wisdom. Sister Margaret. Raphael whispered, recognizing her from the photos we had found. The nun studied us for a long moment, her gaze moving from Raphael to Luke, and then settling on me. A sad smile touched her lips. Mary, she said, her voice weighted with feeling. At last. How could she know me? How could she be sure? You know me? I asked, my knees weak. I knew you when you were a baby, she said softly. And I have known your sister all these years. She is waiting for you. My heart seemed to stop. Isabel? Is she here? Sister Margaret led us through dim hallways, each step echoing off empty walls. Dust and old memories filled my lungs, and something strange happened. I began to feel flashes that were not mine. Children's laughter in these corridors. The smell of vegetable soup from the kitchen. Tiny hands gripping mine. You were always special, the nun said as we walked. Even as babies, you reached for each other. You cried when we separated you. Your mother, she did what she thought was best. She feared that if you stayed together, you would be easier to find by those she was running from. Raphael moved beside me, his hand finding mine in quiet support. And Isabel? Is she all right? Sister Margaret stopped at a door at the end of the corridor. She is fighting, but she is strong, as she has always been. When the door opened, the sight knocked the breath from me. Sitting on a simple bed, one hand protective over a clearly pregnant belly, was a woman who could have been my reflection. Isabel. Our eyes met, and the world held its breath. No names, no explanations, no need. On some deep and ancient level, we already knew. We were already part of each other. Mary, she whispered, tears slipping free. Isaiah. I answered, the nickname coming naturally, as if I had always said it. I ran to her, and we fell into an embrace that should have happened 28 years ago. We felt the same, smelled the same, even our hearts beat in the same rhythm. It was like holding a piece of myself I had always known was missing. Raphael stood in the doorway, silent tears tracing his face. Luke did not hesitate. He sprinted to the bed and tried to hug us both at once. Mommy, he cried, radiant. I knew you would come back. Isabel kissed his head, her tears wetting his hair. My baby, my beautiful boy. I missed you so much. Then she looked at Raphael, love and pain blazing in her eyes. Raph, she said, her voice breaking. He approached slowly, as if she might vanish if he moved too fast. When he finally touched her, his hands trembling as they cupped her face, it felt like watching two hearts fuse after a brutal separation. I found you, he said, words heavy with 6 months of love and ache. I promised I would. While they held one another, Sister Margaret drew me aside to a small chapel where candles flickered before a simple altar. There are things you must know, Mary, about your mother, about why she did what she did. She handed me an old diary, our mother's. In its pages, I met Elena, terrified yet resolute, loving us fiercely enough to break herself to keep us safe. Your mother had a gift for healing that others feared, Sister Margaret said. When she conceived twins, she knew your gifts would be stronger in you. You could feel what others feel. Ease pain with touch. Know things you should not know. Elena was running from people who wanted to exploit those gifts, to study you as subjects. Clara Mendez was one of them. The nun added. She worked for a group that hunted people like your mother. When she discovered Isabel, she saw opportunity. At last, the puzzle locked into place. Clara was not just a jealous mother-in-law, she was a hunter who saw Isabel as valuable prey. When I returned, I found a family reknit. Raphael holding Isabel, Luke wrapped around them both, everyone laughing through tears. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen, and it hurt to feel like an intruder in it. Isabel reached for me. "Do not stand over there. Mary, you are part of this family too." Raphael nodded, acceptance softening his eyes. "You are her sister. That makes you my family as well." And Luke, with the simple wisdom of children, said, "Now I have two mommies. That is even better." There, in the orphanage where our story began, surrounded by a family I never knew I had, I learned what belonging truly meant. It was not blood or paperwork. It was love, and choice, and the courage to accept that sometimes families are made of broken pieces that fit perfectly once you finally find them. And I, Mary Santos, who grew up believing I was alone in the world, finally found my place. Not as a stand-in, not as a substitute, but as exactly who I was always meant to be, the sister, the aunt, the missing piece of a family that was incomplete without me. Because some stories are not about finding someone to love, but about discovering you were always loved, even by people you did not know existed. 6 months have passed since that day at the orphanage. The Davies house, once echoing with absence, now overflows with life. Luke's shouts in the garden tangle with the soft lullaby Isabel sings to little Clara, our niece who arrived healthy and strong 2 weeks ago. I watch from the porch, a cup of chamomile tea in my hands, the same tea Isabel always drank, and now my favorite too. Raphael joins me, his smile easy and unburdened, so different from the tense man I first met. "She is finally asleep," he says, settling beside me. "Clara has her mother's lungs." We laugh, the sound strangely natural, as if we have always shared it. In many ways, we had separate lives growing toward the same habits, the same jokes, the same small delights. Making peace with family was complicated. Mrs. Clara, or rather, the woman who pretended to be her, was in custody, awaiting trial for identity fraud and abduction. The truth of her life emerged, a woman with no family who saw the accidental death of the real Clara Mendez as a ladder out of her own misery. The most surprising part was learning she was not entirely monstrous. Under questioning, she admitted she had come to love Raphael as a real son. Her jealousy of Isabel rose not only from fear of exposure, but from a twisted possessiveness over the only family she felt she had. "Thinking of her again?" Isabel asks, stepping onto the porch with Clara in her arms. Even before I answer, she knows one of the gifts Sister Margaret spoke of. We can feel each other's emotions, sense when something is wrong. A little, I admit, making room for her. It is strange to pity someone who caused us so much pain. Isabel traces a finger over Clara's fine hair. Hate is a weight too heavy to carry. I would rather look at what we gained than what we lost. And what we gained is extraordinary. Not only a sister, but a whole family. Raphael treats me like a true sister. Luke calls me Aunt Mommy. And little Clara, well, she has 2 aunts who love her fiercely. Sister Margaret visits often, bringing stories of our mother that fill the blank pages of our past. We learned Elena did not abandon us for lack of love, but because she loved us too much to risk our safety. She passed 5 years ago. Sister Margaret told us. Cancer. But she left in peace, knowing you were safe. The closure hurt and healed in equal measure. Our mother had not failed us, she had saved us. Luke barrels onto the porch, his face smeared with dirt and joy. Aunt Mary! Come see! The flower we planted is coming up. The flower is a sunflower we planted the day Isabel came home. Luke said he wanted something that would grow tall and bright, like our family. As I follow him into the yard, that familiar hum of déjà vu rises, the feeling that, in another life, this had always been my house, my family, my life. Isabel catches up and loops her arm through mine. You belong here, you know. You always did. She is right. The missing pieces in my life, the not belonging, the endless searching for something unnamed, all clicked into place when I found my sister. That night, as I tuck Luke into bed, he looks at me with solemn eyes. You are staying forever, right? Aunt Mary? Raphael and Isabel stand in the doorway, their faces holding the same unspoken question. Forever. I promise, kissing his forehead. Later, on the porch under the stars with Isabel, I think about the wild road that brought us here, from a nanny desperate for money to a woman who found not only a family, but herself. Do you think our mother knows how happy we are? I ask. Isabel laces her fingers through mine. I think she always knew. Just as I always knew you were out there. The heart recognizes its other half, even when the mind forgets. Beneath the same stars our mother must have watched while she guarded us from afar. I understand that some stories do not end. They become. And true love is not about finding someone to complete you, but about discovering you are always whole, waiting for the part of yourself that makes you bloom. Because the greatest secret I found was not in hidden diaries or forged wills, but in the simple, profound, transforming power of belonging. And in that, my heart, our heart, was reborn for good.